Nigel, thank you for joining us at what we call Pathway Spotlight. This is a conversation that you and I are going to have, and what I've done is I've obviously gone through a number of other colleagues and gone through sort of a conversation with them in terms of currently what's going on in the world of work for them. Obviously, a little bit about understanding themselves as individuals, their background, and so forth, and obviously their contribution to Pathway as a whole. The audience is obviously our staff members. We want to share that with our team that are across the country, but also partners, colleagues, and anybody that's generally interested in our activities and so forth, and just being open and giving value to those individuals. So thank you for
you're welcome.
For your contribution. Thank you for coming on board. Just as a way of introduction, Nigel, a little bit about yourselves, about us working together, and just share the story really, if you mind.
Well, it's been about just over 2 years, I think, now that we've worked together, and it's been a massive sort of transition between what feels like two different companies. Because when we first started, things were very different. We were surrounded by lots of paper, and our processes were quite slow, and we seemed to be having more meetings than doing work. But I think since the move to the new premises and the investment in training and systems, I think it certainly feels for me like the whole of the organisation has just become more of a very focused team. So I think the thing that's changed the most for me in the time that I've been at Pathway is that there's a definite personality sort of focus now. People communicate better individually in groups. I think the meetings and things that we have got very sort of definite ideas and outputs. I actually do think as well, despite the fact that we're all sort of a little bit scared of the whole Ofsted thing, I think it's just natural that we're all a bit fearful of that. I think it's been an enormously positive factor for Pathway Group, in that and the relationship with JISC as well has enabled us to really set good, high quality plans in train. And I think where we are now 2 years down the line, we're actually starting to see elements of those plans really come into fruition. And the one thing I think that's really good for us as an organisation is with the changes with the levy for apprentices, etc., is that we're at that point now of maturity. So we've come a little bit from I wouldn't call it the dark ages,
but not completely wilderness,
but things were very different.
It's a different outlook in terms of how we were thinking, more sort of, as I said, the sort of actually, less maybe technology, less.
I think it was.
More but do you feel we're more technology led now in terms of not technology for the sake of it, but more in terms of obviously efficiencies and.
We're definitely getting to the point where people feel more comfortable with technology, and I think one of the key challenges for us as technology integrators is to make technology simple, because in itself it isn't. It tends to be many different websites and many different devices. One of the things that's really helped us channel our efforts, I think, in the relationship with JISC is the way that we've understood that throughout making our websites simple. We introduced the Pathway Direct service almost immediately 2 years ago, which is now showing really good feedback, reward for our effort. Introducing apps to that service as well is going to be a major sort of contribution towards getting our message across to staff and to partners. We've also invested quite heavily in administration infrastructure that actually fits into our websites now, so things are starting to talk to each other a little bit better, which is also very important. And I think finally the ability to be able to use video as a means of communication is really important to our strategy.
Obviously, Pathway Direct. I mean, obviously, you talked about the fact that app as well. I mean, it's congratulations on your launch of Pathway Direct app on the mobile. The world is on mobile now, and we've. It's not creating an app for the sake of it, but we felt the fact that was the best way for our team, for our guys to actually utilise it as on a day-to-day basis.
And I do think people have through their awareness of mobile technologies, they're quite comfortable using different apps as well. So it may be that within the organisation we have slightly different apps for slightly different purposes.
Yeah.
And as long as we're really careful with the way that we communicate that to people, how best to use them and what to use them for, then we're going to get enormous reward from that.
Yeah. Nigel, obviously a little bit more about your background in terms of, obviously, we've been working together 2 years or thereabouts, but what just share with us your sort of journey.
Oh, my journey is very long. Hence the fact that I've lost quite a few hairs on the head now. But technology's always been kind of in my DNA in a way.
Yeah.
I think, like many of us, our careers tend to choose us a little bit. And I think right from the outset I was always very sort of technically oriented. I mean, we obviously predate computers, which makes the conversation a little bit different for us. We've been obviously constantly training and involved in new technologies, but I suppose really my sort of introduction to technology was through the visual arts.
Yeah.
I think like lots of people have.
Those are very funny videos and so forth.
From my age, we come from generally a very sort of visual background.
Yeah.
So we're going back before the days of YouTube, when things were sort of very paper driven, art and design, that sort of thing. Then when technology sort of took off, it was a question of, wow, what is this amazing tool that's arrived on the scene when we had this, computers were first around. And you could take the whole sort of production department of a business, condense it into a box and give that enormous power to one person. And I think that analogy is exactly true now for the mobile phone.
Right.
Whereas we had that big evolution through my past, coming up through art and design, then into computers, more sort of technical publishing, which is my first background. The same thing applies, that the technology itself has made all of that available now through a single device, and I think that is where we are now.
I mean, we're in the sort of the close of the year, December 2016. A lot of things have happened in the journey for Pathway this year. What's your sort of first reflections on 2016, and also plans in terms of the next year?
Do you know, I think 2016 has definitely been the best year, and it's been the most important. And I think part of that is because of the Asian Apprenticeship Awards. And it's not just the fact that it's been a unique concept for us to run with, it's changed us as an organisation. I think having the experience of working with the people who have created the Asian Apprenticeship Awards has helped the internal team actually come together. We've gained a lot of skills, which is really important to us in terms of the internal capability of actually controlling our own websites. From the ILT side as well, through our science department, we've actually bought a lot of the things that we could have contracted out in-house as well. And I think, so core capability has changed a great deal. I think that's the other thing for 2016, is that the people, investment in people, has begun to show real benefits.
Fantastic. I mean, obviously, as you said, there has been a lot of sort of investment that we're bringing in-house now. We're doing a lot of things internally. We're investing in the servers, we're investing in obviously the software and so forth. We've got a lot of skill sets in terms of not just media into the graphic designers, but also from an IT perspective, and a few people which traditionally may not be the normal domain of those sort of guys. So training company, education, training business now has got a lot of sort of media involvement. We've become a bit of a media and IT type.
I'd agree with that.
Set of
very much 21st century.
In terms of 2017, Nigel, I mean, I'm not asking you to be sort of completely off the wall in terms of work, but where do you see, how would you like to drive forward in terms of 2017?
I think we need to build upon what we've got. I think we need to recognise the relationships that we've built internally and make sure that all the departments really work together well on either their own projects. I think that's important, and I think the more we looked at it last time at the AGM, bringing together of people in bigger groups on a regular basis. It's a very old idea, but it does help people to actually just focus on creating those relationships. And I think the way that you've used the Pathway to Grow network is an ideal example of how to build relationships between people. And I think if we just reflect a little bit of that same methodology to our staff, I think you'll get
staff and partners.
And partners. I think we'll get those same big benefits from people being able to work together and communicate freely.
Nigel, from my perspective, I really appreciate your time, your effort. You've been part of that journey. We've been working together for 2 years. You've been fundamentally important in terms of that drive. You've been by my side, and also obviously the staff and the key members of the management team appreciate your support as well. So I just wanted to thank you for all your efforts, and also keep supporting us. Obviously, we're going to try and do this on a fairly regular basis in terms of updates and so forth. But just wanted to do.
Thank you for that, Safraz. Thank you. I mean, I can honestly say that there's certainly the last 12, 18 months and the last few months with the Asian Apprentice, it's been an absolute pleasure to come to work.
Thank you so much again.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Nigel.
Welcome. Thank you. Hopefully we've got some of that because it went low battery back years ago. I think we've got some.